Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bideo. It's the 30th of May. I can hear myself in Nick's headphones that he didn't plug in, and we're going to talk about video games because that's what we do here. Um, we're not gonna catch up on each other. Like I know you guys have been to work, and you guys literally just told me Nick has been buying a house and Steve has been playing video games. Like the listeners don't need to know that because I just told them. Um, So I don't know how we're gonna do this. Like there's been a lot of games played. It's been a month. Dan is not here. It's just me, Steve, and Nick. So we're gonna kind of fly by the seat of our pants this week. And to start things off, I'm gonna have Steve tell me the games he's been playing, and maybe talk about Gamer Weekend.
Okay, well, you can fill in some of this too. So we had a gamer weekend, as we do, as is tradition in my household. Every couple of months, Noah comes up and we have a weekend completely filled with nothing but video games, which is identical to every other weekend, but it's the only difference is that Noah is here for it and that it is celebrated rather than just happening. And we had a theme this time. Noah, what was the theme of this gamer weekend?
Essentially, there was no theme. It was supposed to be the 90s, but I think mostly RPG Limit Break interrupted that. Because going back and thinking on it the other day, I was like, man, we should have watched, like, Doug. It was supposed to be a 90s theme, like getting back to the 90s. But the week long speedrun marathon RPG Limit Break happened, and I felt like we couldn't not watch that, I guess. Because both of us really like speedrun games and stuff. But yeah, it was supposed to be 90s, and I think we should have like watched stuff from the 90s too, but it just didn't pan out that way.
Yeah, we had grand ambitions of like wearing our well actually we did wear PJs the entire time. And you did bring a sleeping bag over to my house. But
I
in the
was in it
spirit of
too. I didn't just bring it over. I used it.
it would have felt more like it if you had not slept on my couch. If you had slept on the ground in the sleeping bag. That's how you sleep
True, but you also should have
over at your
slept in
friend's
your
house.
basement, like nearby, and we should have talked about like, oh, I got a girlfriend in Canada, and she's my darling.
No, you talk about the girls you have crushes on. When I'm in the 90s, I don't have any girlfriends.
No,
Are you
I
kidding me?
was a big hitter back in the 90s.
Mm, no, not me. But we did theme it around the 90s a little bit in that one, we bought a wide variety of delicious snacks from the 90s. So we basically went up and down the aisles of the grocery store and only bought food that we remember eating but don't eat anymore. So it was like, let's get some Capri Sun. Let's eat a bunch of pizza rolls. Let's buy those what I still don't know the names of them. The crackers and cheese dip with the stick where you can
Handy snacks.
handy snacks. Let's buy a Lunchables that we never ate. Let's
Dude,
buy.
did Leah ever eat that? Did you ever eat that?
It's
Is this still in
still
your
in
fridge?
my fridge, and there is still a can of Mario SpaghettiOs sitting on my counter.
It was. This was what 3 weeks ago, 4.
Yeah, it's awesome. Everything else. That's actually we bought a 12 pack of Tahitian treat that is still sitting in my basement.
I can't
No
wait
one
to
has
drink
that.
that next gamer weekend.
I tried to get Nick. I think did I try to get you to bring it home? I've been trying to give it
You
away.
did, but
No one wants
how
it.
how bad were the stomach aches?
Oh, dude. The stomach aches. Okay, I'll be real. One, it was nice to be eating pizza rolls because I miss pizza rolls. Those are good. It was not a stomach ache that got me. It was I actually ended up getting a bunch of headaches. I think it's just from like eating a bunch of like sugary processed foods that I got a bunch of headaches. But there was a little bit of a stomach ache action at the end. I think I did have a little bit of stomach concern like that Monday, but it was worth it. It was worth it to have 90 snacks.
I had a lot of green poops because we bought blue Kool-Aid quencher things.
That's true. There actually was still one of those left sitting just on the counter here that that like just recently went away. I did slowly work through the Capri Suns though. Those I
Nice.
was happy to have around. Um, so yeah, we dined on a bunch of delicious '90s snacks, and we played '90s video games, and that's kind of as far as we took it. And actually, we sort of took some liberties, I guess, with the '90s games that we played. In that, like, one, I played my games on a Retron, like on an HD TV. I didn't like plug my Super Nintendo or my Genesis into my tube TV. And two, you did play on my little TV, but you were playing a ROM hack that was, well, I, Metroid and A Link to the Past, right? Like it was a randomizer of those two games.
Yeah, it was a randomizer combo that's been like really popular in speedrunning this year.
How and I can't even remember at this point. How does the connection between the two games works? Because you're playing a randomized version of both games combined into one, basically.
Right. So you start off in Super Metroid, and there are fixed doors that don't really lead anywhere in Super Metroid usually. And what they did was they just linked that up to other places in A Link to the Past that don't really go anywhere or have anything meaning behind them. So you're able to go between the games fairly easily, but I'm not very good at like Super Metroid, so I don't really know how to get around, and I ended up not finding anything super useful. So I could not progress, and I was playing for an hour or two. It was just not good.
Yeah, and so that was kind of a bummer. Um, just that it didn't work out to be as fun as you wanted. But we did end up playing through a number of '90s themed games. So I'm trying to run through everything I played. The main event probably was that Leah and I did what only the most generous of persons would describe as a race in Super Mario World to get all 96 exits.
There was a point where Leah got up and sat on Steve's lap to help him finish levels, so it was not really a race.
And she kept trying to be nice and be like, "Oh, no, it's just it's okay." And I'm like, "Leah, this is not a race. Like, I do not want to hear it." And oh my god, I was doing so bad, and I was starting to get so like uncharacteristically salty at the game. Oh, it was just not good. Something
It's
about
it's so weird to watch you like play games and be like, yeah, this is the gamer thing to do, and then play Super Mario World and be like the stuff you didn't know was really confusing to me.
okay, there were some things that are like I should have known, but there were some things that I don't think is common knowledge. Leah knows everything about Super Mario World. Like Leah has never like seen a screen of Super Mario World that she couldn't like close her eyes and draw from memory because she knows how it all looks. She knows how it all works, everything. You have like I don't know, you either played it a lot as a kid or you have retained an insane amount of knowledge from speedrunning that doesn't make sense to me because in speedrunning you don't like see everything. Like I don't watch a lot of 96 exit speedruns.
Okay, the interesting thing about that is Super Mario World is probably my least played side-scrolling Mario game. And I don't watch very many speedruns of it. I see more Kaizo stuff than I see actual Super Mario World runs.
Yeah, I have also played very little of it, but this was like my opportunity to do all these exits, and I was not doing well. And not only was I not doing well, but then like Leah was just like trying to be nice, trying to help me out, and Noah was just giving me a bunch of crap. Noah kept being like, "How dumb are you? How do you not know this? How have you never played Mario before?" And so I started getting salty. And I think I could do better if I played it again. Part of it was that I kept making really dumb mistakes because there was like some input lag on the Retron that Leah like confirmed and was like, "Oh yeah, that's kind of gross," and that went away like 2/3 into the race when I had switched my TV into game mode to reduce the input lag, and then part of it was just like I was just doing terrible. So the game is fun. Super Mario World's great, even though I was salty during our race. And Leah, very, very harshly destroyed me in that race, to the point where like as soon as it started, Noah posted a Facebook status that was like, "Congrats to Leah on beating Steve in 2 hours." It did not go well, but it was.
It didn't she like get up to feed the cats or something too? She like left for a while and came back.
She did a lot of stuff like that. She like sat there and watched me for a while. She stopped and like did some levels for me. There's two of the exits she did for me. She like went like ran errands and stuff and still came back and beat me. Oh, Leah is the superior gamer, specifically when it comes to Super Mario World. It was brutal. So that was like the main thing we did through most of Saturday. But I did get to play through a good handful of other 90s games. We had a little bit of co-op action, you and me. We played through Golden Axe 2, which I really liked, and it seemed like you were less enthusiastic about.
I was like lukewarm on it. I don't know. It could just be that such an old beat 'em up that I had played more polished ones beforehand, because this is like an older game and I've played more recent stuff. Um, so yeah, I thought it was good, but again, I've played more complex stuff.
I really liked it, and I don't actually really like a ton of beat 'em ups, so that's interesting to me. I thought Golden Axe 2 was really good. The music in that game is very, very good.
Yeah, that one was fun to watch you guys play and listen to the banging tunes.
It was very those some tasty tunes. I would bring it up on our next music episode. We played through Goof Troop. Noah, how do you feel about Goof Troop?
I really like Goof Troop. How did you feel about Goof Troop?
Dude, Goof Troop is it's good. That's a good video game.
I was surprised at like how short it was. It was like 5 levels long.
Yeah, it is, and it does not take long to get through them. It was probably like I don't know, 2 hours. You think something like that?
I don't even think it was 2 hours. It might have been like a little less.
Yeah. So anyone that has not played Goof Troop on the Super Nintendo, it is essentially a top-down. I hesitate to call it a Zelda type game, but that's probably the closest comparison point. Like you play as Goofy and his child, top-down. You have very slightly different skills. Like Goofy does double damage, and Max runs faster, I think.
Yeah.
And you're just navigating through these environments, finding upgrades, things like hook shots and stuff to let you get further and further into the environments and then beat the boss in that level and go on to the next one. But it plays really well for a licensed game and is like surprisingly uh, like deep. Like you end up having to like navigate these whole levels and then backtrack to bring certain items to certain spots and stuff. But it's a really good game co-op. I don't think it would be as fun to just play by yourself, but it's an excellent game to play with a friend.
Definitely. And another thing I would say stands out is we are in our 30s and we would enter these like kick the block and put them into certain socket areas of the maps, and it would take us some time to solve some of them, and then one of us would have a brain blast and then we'd solve it.
Yeah, we sat there on a few screens staring at it like, what do we do? And there were also a couple of like timed puzzles where you'd have to do like a block puzzle in a certain order, but blocks would essentially explode if you waited too long. And even with like two people doing two different things and like coordinating your movements between each other to be super efficient, you still barely had enough time to complete the puzzles. So they like really put the screws to the players to you better learn how to work together because otherwise you are not going to be able to get through these environments at all.
Yeah, there's
So
an item that's a bell that attracts and taunts the enemies, and then the other player can knock them into pits or whatever with hook shots or whatever. Good
yeah,
co-op stuff.
it was really fun. And we played a little bit of Contra Hardcore together, but I don't think you were that into it.
No, I was into it, but I am definitely like Steve levels of Super Mario World bad at it.
It, dude, sometimes the game is just not clicking with you. I will at some point in my life redeem myself in Super Mario World, and you can come and redeem yourself in Contra Hardcore. The
Yeah,
problem is that you were bad at Contra Hardcore, and then just like, all right, well, let's stop now. That was a fun 20 minutes, and I was bad at Super Mario World, and I was like, well, this I have to do this. I've already agreed to race the entire game. I'm
it was
stuck,
also on the list, so you pretty much signed yourself up for it.
and I put it on the list. Like it was
What are
no
you
good.
doing?
I wanted to do it. I still am glad that I did it. I just wish that I had been better. And I wish that I had not been as crabby. I was really hungry by the end, which didn't help. Like, I needed food. But, anyways. And we played one more co op game, if my memory serves me correctly. What was that, Noah? Do you remember?
I don't.
It rhymes with Bro Jam and Pearl.
Oh, dude, I have to talk about that later too. Um, it was Toe Jam and Earl. Ha! I got it.
You did. That was a hard one. So we played Toe Jam and Earl, the original Sega Genesis one. And I mean, that game is 90s. Like if you're having a 90s weekend, Toe Jam and Earl's the game to play because who boy is that all 90s all the time.
Imagine like the Rugrats, that splash background when they're opening up the episode or whatever with the title card. They had that all over the place, like the wacky, colorful shapes and
Yeah,
patterns.
bright colors, like a lot of triangles and like weird shapes. Oh, definitely. And I don't. So if someone has never played Toe Jam and Earl, I still don't fully know how to explain it in a way that explains why it's fun. Like the concept is that you are trying to collect these 10 pieces of your spaceship so that you can, I don't know, go back to planet. Is it Planet Funkotron? But
Yes.
you find them by you navigate these like randomly generated worlds, mostly just kind of like avoiding enemies to try to find the exit that'll bring you up to the next floor. And then occasionally a floor, once every couple of floors, will have a piece of your ship to find too. And along that like kind of exploration progression, you come across presents that basically randomly generate an item when you use them. And I'm not sure, but I think like the same type of present, like the same visual, like wrapping paper and shape, will always have the same item on the same floor. But I'm not even sure if that's
I
true.
think they carry from floor to floor. And I'm gonna interrupt you quick. I played the new one, and it explains a lot of the stuff that we did not understand in the original.
Oh, wait, did you play the new one with someone else?
No, I played some of it alone just to see what it was
Okay.
like.
You are officially required to keep that game in the chamber to play with me.
Dude, even if I played it and beat it, it would still be fun to go back and play with somebody else.
Well, you've been given your task, which is to keep it in the chamber.
So when do you want to play it?
I don't know. We should play it soon.
That's not a date and or time.
Well, we'll check our schedules off the podcast, but
All right.
maybe this weekend sometime.
I do work, but yes, off the podcast we'll figure it out.
Okay. But anyways, we played Toe Jam and Earl, and I had a lot of fun with it. It you don't do a lot in the game. That's why I struggle to describe why it's like super fun. You mostly just walk and like avoid enemies and try not to fall.
It's
But I
like
think it's just you get into silly situations, which is fun.
Yeah, I would say it's like an exploration roguelike.
Yeah, definitely that's the best way to describe it. It's definitely a roguelike. And like when you're on the higher floors, if you fall off the edge of the randomly generated map, you'll fall down onto a previous floor. So that's kind of interesting and unique. It's yeah, it's a cool game that I guess makes more sense to see than it does to describe, but it's just fun. And it's got us both obviously now we're going to go play the new one together because we want to. So, yeah, I think that's all the co-op stuff we played. But I did play a handful of 90s games that weekend after the fact. So I played and beat Kid Clown and Crazy Chase, which is a game that I played from my childhood and absolutely love. It's a Super Nintendo game, and you control Kid Clown, who starts at the top of a hill in one of like 5 different environments, and this other like clown guy lights the fuse on a bomb, and the fuse runs all the way down the hill to the bomb at the bottom of the hill. And as Kid Clown, you're literally just trying to run down the hill and get to the bomb before the fuse catches up and blows the bomb up. So the entire game is just you like kind of isometric running downhill, moving left to right and jumping over obstacles. And this is a game that was like one of the first Super Nintendo games I ever played. I used to go over to my uncle's house and play it with my cousins. And I finally, for the first time in my life, beat it, which isn't easy to do because to actually beat the game, you not only need to get like through every level, which can be tough, but you also need to collect like 4 specific items in each level, like one for each suit of cards, one icon for each of the suits of cards. And I was able to get all the way through that, which was awesome. It was very validating to finally finish the game that I had never finished since I was a kid. And then the other game that I popped in was McDonald's Treasureland Adventure, which is an awesome platformer that's sort of a Sonic the Hedgehog clone, but you play as Ronald McDonald. And the game was developed by Treasure, the same folks that did like Gunstar Heroes and like in more recent times did things like Ikaruga. So it was this licensed game that kind of doesn't really have anything to do with McDonald's other than the characters, and it's just like this really cool unknown platformer on the Genesis. So I had a lot of fun playing through that, and I think you enjoyed watching it. So it was a good one.
I don't remember a lot of it. It's just like weird.
It is weird. That game just like has this kind of like weird, uncanny quality to it. It's it feels like a game that was definitely developed as something else and then made into a McDonald's game. But then even as I'm saying that, the game is like easy in the way you would expect a kids game to be, like a kids game based on a fast food chain, I guess. But the fact that you're controlling Ronald McDonald and like your 2 attacks are to like throw a scarf into the air that catches onto hooks that let you jump up on stuff, or shoot like magic dust out of your hands to attack enemies. It's just it's just all over the place. I don't know what they were thinking when they made that game. Someone was having fun with it because it does a lot with the McDonald's property. And so yeah, it was obviously a jam-packed, very fun 90s gamer weekend. And Nick, I believe you were there for a day of it. Am I correct?
Yeah, I was there. I think on Friday night. I saw some Golden Axe. Um, I think I came right after your Super Mario race. If that sounds
That
right.
was a good time to come.
Yeah,
You played any games 90s themed?
I kind of did. So I played And this will be my one update for gaming for this kind of last couple weeks is I've been working on Phantasy Star IV. So I was playing that, um, and just got a little further in it. I've still been kind of just slowly plugging away at that one. It's really fun though. Just a classic turn-based RPG. You got your magics and attacks and fighting monsters. So, and the music is really good as well. It's got that really intense Genesis edge to it.
Who's farther now, you or Noah?
I think I am probably still the farthest. I am quite far.
I guess to try to, I don't want to like be spoilery. Um, I've gone to the second satellite and finished it, and have returned back to the icy planet. If that makes sense.
Yeah, you're actually getting close to me, I think. But yeah, I'm still farther.
Well, I am jealous that I did not pick Phantasy Star 4, but Crosscode was worth it. So that's the list does good things for us all. But just when you thought I was done with games, no. All we do is we get through 90s Gamer Weekend. There's still plenty left to update in our month since we last recorded.
Dude, okay. So before the podcast, we were like, are we going to do the topic or are we just going to catch up? And I think we're just going to catch up. Like, it's
I
been a
think that's
while
fine.
and we're just catching up.
We're the hose of games has been like kinked for a month now, and I need to just let the floodgates open, get everything out, and then tomorrow we or podcast tomorrow, which is the next time we record, is when we can do our topic, I think. But I finally beat Baba Is You. That doesn't mean I did all the puzzles,
Congratulations.
but I beat the finale, like the final level, which is honestly not that hard. If you are if you have done most of the areas of Bob Is You, you can probably do the last level. There's still so many levels though that are just like too hard for me. That game is you feel very exhausted after a session of Bob Is You because you have to do too much thinking.
It's like you look at a screen and then you try to solve it in every possible way and you can't possibly solve it, but there is an answer somewhere. But you're like, I moved everything everywhere, nothing works.
It, I feel like I have a like more than almost any other game I've played. I feel a limited like reserve tank of mental energy where after playing Baba Is You for like an hour, I'll get to a new level and I'll open it up and I'll see the like 10 words and all these different like rivers and trees and ice and levers and all this stuff. And I'll just get so overwhelmed. Like, I don't have the mental capacity to try to figure out what they want. Like, no amount of thinking is going to solve this. I literally just have to put it down and come back. But I I've done that a couple times, and every time I come back, I get a little bit farther. So it's really just like sometimes you just need fresh perspective on that to get farther. But that game continues to be amazing. I love Baba Is You.
It was a good buy.
It definitely was. I bought and played Shakedown Hawaii, which is the latest game from V Blank Entertainment, the same company that did Retro City Rampage, for anyone that's played Retro City Rampage. And what Shakedown Hawaii is basically Grand Theft Auto Vice City if Grand Theft Auto Vice City was in the style of uh, like the original Grand Theft Autos that are top down. So it takes place in Hawaii, obviously, and you top down just like steal cars, do missions, avoid the police when they catch you running over pedestrians, everything that you'd expect in a Grand Theft Auto game. And the story is you trying to essentially take your failed company and rebuild it from the ground up by investing in all of these different like industries and things that are hopefully going to make you money. So like you have a failing soda company and you decide to rebrand it as a gamer cola and like try to put out ads that pitch it as the soda for gamers, and then those like that ends up backfiring because when you're recording a commercial for it, it turns out you were actually accidentally live streaming. So in between takes, when the actor was saying that your gamer cola tastes bad, that was caught live on the internet, and so your soda company ends up failing, and you just like keep having all these different ideas to try to milk money out of people. Um, and you can buy properties that lets you like expand into other businesses too. So you can buy like coffee shops and gas stations and parking lots and casinos, and then buy like multipliers for their revenue streams. So like you can buy a coffee shop, and then you can also have that coffee shop sell in-store gift cards to their customers, and um, like take out advertisements on gaming websites and stuff like that.
So
So
is
it's
it
very.
is it like a management thing, or is there combat, or what?
Did you ever play Vice City?
Yes. And I also played Retro City Rampage.
Okay. So, do you remember in Vice City how you could buy properties and there'd be little money icons in front of them that you could run past and you'd like get some
Yeah.
money? So, it's that like taken to the extreme. All of the money you get from your properties is automatically deposited into your bank account once per day. And so every property you buy has like a revenue stream that it brings in, and then you can buy those multipliers. And so you're kind of doing the Grand Theft Autos and the missions and stuff to either buy properties or to make new properties available for purchase, and then trying to build up how much money your company makes through buying all these properties. So by the end of the game, I owned the entire island. Like I owned like 500 buildings, and I would get like something like $50 million a day. But the gameplay itself is probably very similar to Retro City Rampage. It's just like top down, kind of easy, kind of basic shooting or like melee combat. A lot of times it's like a twin stick shooter, and it's not ever really that difficult at all. But the best parts about the game are the music and the just the sense of humor is really good, and like buying and manipulating your properties is really good. So it kind of has two layers that are fun at the same time. But it like I popped it in completely on a whim because it came out, and I was like, I should try this game out. And yeah, it just like it got its hooks in me for whatever reason, and I played it like nonstop for a couple days. I would, especially if you like Retro City Rampage, you'll like Shakedown Hawaii. I played handful of games here. Had a little bit of a VR session, which actually, Noah, you were playing VR the other day.
I've been playing a few times lately. Don't talk too much about GG. No spoilers, please.
We're allowed to say the name. uh, so one of the VR games I
I
played
just
is
wanted you to introduce it.
okay. Thank you. One of the two VR games I played is Ghost Giant, which I won't say too much about, but is a pretty recent PlayStation VR release, and uh, the gameplay is I'd essentially describe it as like the gameplay of Moss. Um,
It
but
is a VR point and click adventure game in my head.
yeah, yeah. So everything is a scene where you are like stationary, sitting in the middle of it, looking around, and you're in the same way, in the same style as Moss. You're kind of this large character. I mean, you're a ghost giant, and you can like look around. So you'll be probably like 4 stories tall if you were in a city, and you can like look around and like peel the roofs off of buildings and like lift stuff up and move it around. And usually you'll have like an objective in that scene that you'll need to do, or some puzzle in that scene that you'll need to solve. And you do it just by finding items, giving them to people, or finding ways to let the character that you primarily interact with access new areas, letting them get to new places and stuff like that. So the gameplay is not too complex. I mean, it's just sort of like solving puzzles and moving objects here and there. But it is very, very charming. It is a good looking game in VR, and it has, without spoiling anything, I think a very effective story. So it is a high recommendation for VR. It felt a lot like Moss to me, except rather than control the character, you just manipulate the environment. But like the vibe and the scale was kind of similar to Moss. And so I played through that, and then I played through Res Infinite because I was still in the mood for VR after finishing up Ghost Giant. And Res Infinite's just awesome in VR. Area X is still just like one of the best VR experiences you can have. I love Res Infinite. I love Res. And Area X is really good. For anyone that hasn't played it before, Area X is the new level that they added to Res Infinite in PlayStation VR. That lets you like actually, rather than being on rails, you can actually fly around in the 3D space. So I would definitely encourage anyone that hasn't picked that up to pick it up on their PSVR. And there's nothing really to say on the next 2 games, but I finished Balloon Kid and Tiny Toons Bab's Big Break on Game Boy. I was just sitting upstairs hanging out with Leah, drinking coffee, and I decided I wanted to play some Game Boy SP, so I found some old Game Boy games and popped them in. Played through 2 games. Balloon Kid's music is good, but other than that, there's not much to say on either of those 2 games, really. And I got 2 more games, but I've been talking forever. Noah, why don't you hit me with one of the games you've been playing, and then I'll close this off.
I will go back to Gamer Weekend, and I will say, you let me play Quest for Camelot for the Game Boy Color, that I played on the Game Boy Color that you used to play Pokemon Red, I think you said, or Blue, or whichever one you had.
I was a Blue kid. I had both growing up, but I
yeah,
primarily
of course
played
you
Blue.
did.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's sort of like a Zelda, but not quite. It's like there's combat and there's like a spin attack with your sword, but mostly you just go through maps and solve puzzles in order to progress through different maps. You play as a princess, I believe, and your dad was killed. I don't fully remember it. I think it was based on like a cartoon or a movie or something. It At the time it was very hard for me to play and to actually really get into, mostly because RPG Limit Break was still happening, and I was very interested in that and the Super Mario World quote unquote race that was happening in front of me. So I didn't really get too far, but it was all right. It just was slow paced. God, what else did I play? Either the day after or when Leah went to bed. I don't remember which. I also just was in the mood to do Super Mario World, and I also did a 96 exit quote unquote run. And to be fair, like, I didn't really watch all of what they did, and a lot of stuff was me actually remembering things. There were a few things I didn't remember, and I had to ask Steve about, but yeah, I did Super Mario World also.
Yeah, it was a good Super Mario World weekend.
It's weird how like into it we were. Like it hit pretty strong.
I was pleased. It was a good way to feel like we were in the 90s.
Yeah.
And it was just a good way for us all to play, all three of us to play the same game. It's like, man, my favorite part about that though is that you played it, but according to the rules of the list, that doesn't count. So you'll need to play it again when the time comes.
That's fine. It was an easy enough thing to do. Like I'm not no offense, but I was better at it than you, so it wasn't too hard for me.
That's okay. You were worse at it than Leah, so.
That's true. And I was worse at Contra Hardcore. Do you know what else I played? Or was that it?
I feel like you played one other game handheld, but it's not coming to me right now.
Yeah,
Not sure what else it
I'm
would
not
be.
sure either.
Did you play like a Wario Land game?
No. Man, I really don't
Um,
know what it was. It wasn't a Super Nintendo game, was it?
I don't think so. No. What were you doing the entire Super Mario World race? Was that when you were playing Quest for Camelot?
Yeah, and I was watching RPG Limit Break and you guys race.
Yeah. Yeah, that might have been everything that you played there.
It was a full eyeballs situation.
That's fair. Watching a lot of Mario World is just as good as playing it in some cases.
Almost. But then I really wanted to play it and then I played it.
Yeah. That's because you're good at games.
I agree. Um, what else did I play? I played the new Toe Jam and Earl a little bit, and they definitely have like a cinematic opening that explains why the ship crashes on the planet. They introduce some more characters, and they have unlockables, and the music is really good, like really, really good. Uh, That is the thing I take away from that game the most, is how fitting and just like head bopping good the music is. But it is essentially just the original Toe Jam and Earl, but with like updated graphics and audio and like that added story stuff. And they do explain some things, like the present system gives you experience, and that's how we were becoming like wieners and peanuts or whatever. Because like you get a title when you level up, and you go from like I don't remember what it was, but you quote unquote evolve from doofus to peanut to Poindexter, and it just keeps going up. And apparently, your stats go up too, but I think that's hidden behind like a screen we never looked at, if it even existed. So
Oh,
becoming
I
like
don't even know if I knew that that game had stats.
yeah, so be evolving or becoming a higher level was actually good for you to do. So opening presents gives you the experience points in order to level up and get better, I guess. Um, I played a lot of Apex Legends. Not a lot to say in that regard outside of the fact that Dan has joined in and Dan has started playing. Dan got a win on his fifth game with me and Joade. It was very easy.
Ah.
Um, yeah, there's a new update to like their roadmap or whatever that they put out today on at least Reddit that says like, hey, in season 2 we're gonna be changing some things. It'll be easier to level up your battle pass. You'll be getting cooler stuff or taking away like the meaningless badges. So right now, as you level up your battle pass, you'll unlock badges for your banner, and a lot of them are just stupid. Like, oh, you reached level 10 on your banner, so you can have a little badge that says you hit level 10. But like that doesn't really mean anything. Nobody's putting that on their banner. And a bunch of like, I like the skins, but they're all the same skin for every gun. So it. I don't know if they changed that because I don't think they said one way or the other whether they're gonna have like different skins or they're all gonna have season style skins for every gun. But they'll be adding more legendaries to unlock along the battle pass path you take, and they're going to be adding challenges, maybe like Fortnite had. They didn't really go into much detail, so I don't know if it's actually just like get like X kills in a day, or get 30 headshots, or just stuff that isn't very entertaining. Or if they're going to be like, drop like 800 meters and then get a kill, or something more interesting like that, or like, uh, get to third place but only having one gun. Like that stuff would be cool. But they didn't say one way or the other whether they're going to do challenges like that or if it's just going to be like to fill up a kill meter, um, which is still better than nothing, I guess. Uh,
Yeah, I would take anything over the complete lack of what they had the first time.
yeah, so there's still like a few weeks left of the battle pass, um, and a lot of the complaints and feedback were actually taken very seriously, which is nice. They're going to be It's going to be just easier to level up. They're adding a double XP bonus weekend, I believe next weekend, which I have off, so maybe I'll take advantage of that. They're adding an elite queue, so if you place in the top 5, you can enter an elite queue, and then you have to place in the top 5 again, otherwise you can't enter it. And I don't know what that gives you. I don't know if it's faster experience or like there are rewards tied behind it. They just said that there's going to be an elite player queue. So when you get into there, everyone in there will have placed in the top 5, making it harder, maybe. So like,
I
I don't
like
know.
that. I like that idea a lot actually, because one, it's fun to like see how many, like how long of a chain of elite queue matches you can get into, right? Like, oh man, I've been queuing in the elite queue for the last 10 games because I keep doing so well. That would be pretty awesome. Plus, that takes some of the best players out of the normal queue, which might even the distribution of like good and new slash bad players.
Yeah. Um, but conversely, like that might not help because some of the best players just drop and just get a bunch of kills and maybe die in 7th place, you know? Like we play with Joe Wade, who consistently gets like 3 to 6 kills, which that it's not the best, but it's like every game, man, 3 to 6. He can take out a full squad by himself. Um which would suck to play against because you don't want to lose every time. But also, we don't always place in the top 5 because we are too busy killing or whatever, and you get third partied, and it's sometimes you just get screwed. Um, so maybe the elite queue will just be people who hide or people who wait to hear firing and then third party, exacerbating the problem that a lot of people have about people just showing up and finishing off a squad. But it's hard to balance around or against that because that's just the game, you know?
Yeah, that's sort of like
Survival
almost
of the fittest.
fundamentally what the game is based around, you know?
Like show up, pick off the weak, and take their stuff and become stronger.
Yep.
So yeah, that's what's going on in Apex, and I'm gonna
When's that
say,
double XP? Is it next weekend?
yeah, the 7th of June. So
Do you maybe want to play some with Steve on double XP weekend?
yeah, sounds good. My battle
I've been
pass is almost done though, so it doesn't really mean a lot to me, but I'll still play.
I just haven't played in a long time and I'm super low level and I've been kind of craving it. So for me, it would be good to play during a double XP weekend, and that way I can hook it up with you and Joe Wade or Dan or whoever.
Yeah, that sounds fun to me.
Sounds good, bro.
All right. Also, I'm gonna stick with the theme of multiplayer games that I've been playing. Uh, I have gotten back into Heroes of the Storm, and I absolutely hate myself. It is the worst thing I could have done for video games and me. So I usually don't care about ranking and such. I don't care about being competitive. I don't know what it is about Heroes of the Storm that makes me competitive. Um, but like when we get on the communications and start talking or whatever, I'm out there shot calling. I'm trying to get people to move places. I'm getting grumpy and frumpy whenever Pat dies, and it's a lot. Pat overextends. It makes me mad. I text Joade behind Pat's back about this. It's not good. I get really mad. Not like the thing that makes me happy.
Glad you're playing it again.
Yeah, me too.
Sounds about right.
Um, but yeah, it's it's just really frustrating when we're not all on the same page, and like when people don't listen, or like you say let's all do this, and then somebody else goes I'm gonna go this way and do this by myself. It doesn't translate in Heroes of the Storm. Like that is fine for maybe Dota and League where you want to go push a lane or whatever, but pushing means very little as a singular person in Heroes of the Storm for the most part. But something we did is we queued for ranked, so we could all figure out our ranks or whatever. And we all got placed about the same. I think we're still in the middle of Dan's matches, unless they finished it the other night. Because I definitely skipped a night to like rebalance my anger. So maybe they did it and he has a rank now. I'm not sure. Joade placed gold 2, which is better. The lower the number, the better. I placed gold 3. Ben placed gold 3. As I said, Dan is unplaced, and Pat is silver 4, maybe 5. So a weird situation that happened is I didn't play for 6 months, and there is MMRDK, and it's worse when you don't play for a whole season. Like, it's really bad. I was checking the numbers on HOTS logs, which you can check sort of your MMR, and I used to be placed Masters, which you can't really say is a valid thing because not everyone uploads their replays, and that's how they get the information. So I assumed I would be like platinum, maybe low diamond. Like that was a very safe assumption for me. But I lost all that MMR, and so I got placed into gold 3 with Ben, and Joade is a higher MMR than me. Not saying that Joade's bad. Like I think Joade might actually be better than me at this point, but yeah, we all got our ranks, and man, Here's the Storm sometimes makes me grumpy, but sometimes it's just a fun game. It really is just hit or miss. We've been losing a lot of games too, and I'm not sure why, but apparently, I actually just watched a video before this podcast, and the guy watched Not Paradox was talking about how like it groups people weirdly and not very balanced in ways, and a lot of Reddit people are complaining that you can queue single and get a team of like if you're gold a team of platinums, and you'll go against like a couple of grandmasters and then like some golds and silvers, and sometimes they smurf and sometimes it is gold and silvers, but the grandmasters are so good that they absolutely stomp you regardless. And it's hard. We win and we lose, and we're ranking up and losing points, but I don't know, it's fun to get in and be serious for a change, because usually in games I don't take any of that very seriously at all. Like I don't care about ranks really, except in Heroes of the Storm, and at one point Overwatch for no reason, but I'm glad I stopped Overwatch too. I am gonna go get a drink. You guys have to keep up the podcast. My throat is dying. I will be right back.
That's all good. I have 2 more games that I can talk about. The first one, well, Nick, I'm going to give you a dealer's choice. Do you want to hear about Ori and the Blind Forest, or do you want to hear about Her Story?
Okay, so is Her Story the one that's kind of about like an autobiography almost, or like about a girl developer, I want to say?
No. Are you thinking of Sybil? Or
Maybe.
I think I know the one you're talking about. But no.
Well, let's
So
go with Her Story then.
Her
I
Story.
did see you play some Ori.
Her Story is hard to describe. This like you can't really say much about the story itself without spoiling it. But the gameplay is you boot up the game, and they have a simulated desktop as if you were on like a computer in the 90s, and your a detective, and it pulls up this program that has a bunch of interview footage from police interviews, like in like a police office. So just like two people sitting in a room with a one-way mirror having a conversation, like an interrogation room. And all of the clips in this database that you can search through are of a conversation with this woman, and the game or the objective is to try to figure out what happened by digging through all these old footage clips, and kind of like piecing together the story of what happened. So the clips that you can watch are actual footage, like these. There was an actual like actress that was filmed for all these, and they range from like 7 seconds long to like usually about like a minute long, and it'll be like in the middle of a conversation with no context. So it'll be a clip of her like answering a question that you never hear asked. So she might say like, you might like open up a clip and she'll just say like, yeah, I think that the last time we were together was when we were visiting his parents in Glasgow, and that's all you get. And to search through the database, you're basically just like Google searching. So any keyword that you search, it'll pull up to 5 videos that contain that particular keyword. So what you're doing is watching clips to try to like find things that you think you should look up more information about, and then looking those up to find out new information, and kind of like leapfrogging the terms that you have to search for in this database to ultimately piece together the story of what happened in this particular case. And at a very high level, it's about this the disappearance of this woman's husband. That's how the kind of the first clip starts out, and then as you watch the clips, you figure out a lot more details around what happened, both with him and with her, and the story like kind of builds itself out as you build up the case. But since you can search for whatever you want, you can key in on whatever words you think might be interesting. You kind of solve the case however you personally would, non-linearly. So like if you played it, you would probably find completely different information as I did, and we would ultimately come to the same big conclusions and like learn the same general information, but our path of discovery would be totally different. So it's non-linear in that way.
Okay. I did the thing again where I muted myself and then went away, and then I came back, and instead of unmuting myself, I stopped the recording. So, like, 3 seconds of what you just said is nothing, and for any of the listeners out there, that's what happened. Anyway, you can keep going.
I mean, that's essentially it. The game is pretty basic. It takes about 2 to 3 hours to sort of get enough information to piece together the events that went on. And yeah, I think it's a game best played in one sitting, because once you start getting into like sort of the mystery of it and digging through this footage, it gets pretty addicting to sort of like peel the layers back more and more and more, and dig deeper into what's going on. And I have not played any other game that is like Her Story. Noah, have you ever played Her Story?
I played a little bit, and then I decided it wasn't for me. But I hear it's good.
Yeah, and I could see it's the type of game where I'm not saying that this is what you did, but if you like are keying into the wrong stuff, you could sort of go down like investigative paths that are kind of dead ends, or just are like kind of doing it the hard way. So there's a little bit of your mileage may vary, but it's cool, and it tells an interesting story. But don't look this game up, and definitely don't go to the Wikipedia, because if you read the the 2 paragraph explanation of the story on Wikipedia, like you've just spoiled the entire game for yourself, and there's nothing to do. So that was that one has been like kind of on my backlog for years, and it just so happened that I finally had a situation where I had the time and it was late at night and Leo was already asleep, where I could just like put my headphones in and dig in on it, and it was pretty good. And the last game I played was I finally got around to playing Ori and the Blind Forest, and this was something that I wanted to play this year because I know Ori and the Will of the Wisps is coming out. And oh my god, Ori and the Blind Forest is so good. Like, I cannot think of a single thing that this game does not do excellently. It is a top tier game. Like, 5 stars, 10 out of 10. It will go down as one of my favorite games because, like, every single thing about that game blew me away. The story is effective, which is saying a lot because it's a Metroid clone. Visually, it looks incredible. The music is unbelievable. The animation has a ton of charm and like little nuance to it. The environments are varied and interesting. The like abilities that you get make you feel really cool. It feels great in your hands. The controls are super responsive. It's the type of game where when you do something, you feel cool after having done it. And doing the same thing over and over again doesn't get boring because it's like little micro encounters are still interesting. Oh, I loved Ori and the Blind Forest, which is this is a game that came out in like 2015, so I'm the latest to the party that you could possibly be.
Not quite, because I have not played Ori and the Blind Forest yet.
Dude, you should bump it up in your queue. The next time you're even a little bit in the mood for a castle roid, choose Ori, because it is top tier. Top tier.
Are you sure not Hollow Knight? Are you sure I shouldn't finish
Oh,
Hollow Knight?
okay, it is Hollow Knight tier.
What about
Like,
Owl Boy?
Owl Boy, I didn't like as much. I'm not that
Okay.
crazy about Owl Boy. Owl Boy sort of let me down. I had high expectations that were not met.
Okay. I played Owl Boy a little bit, and I stopped playing it.
Owl Boy had like a lot of dialogue, and I don't know, it just kind of like bored me, and I don't really know exactly why. But yes, Ori goes right up there alongside Hollow Knight. Like
All right.
they would be
Isn't
mentioned.
Silken Song or whatever they call it coming out this year too?
Yes, the Hollow Knight sequel. So this is going to be a good year for me if everything actually comes out, because we're going to have a Hollow Knight sequel. We're going to have an Ori sequel. We're supposed to have a Super Meat Boy sequel, and that's on top of like all the big releases that are coming out, like the Link's Awakening remake, and news for people that aren't aware. It looks like Death Stranding is coming out this year, which I did not expect. So in November, I'll have Death Stranding to check out and look forward to.
I'm pumped for that. Are you done with your games? I have many more games that I didn't realize I
Yes,
had played.
dude, welcome to the games we've been playing Catchup Cast.
It's intense.
I
Let me,
think that is everything. Because if I, yes, I'm pretty sure I have now covered all of the games that I have been playing. Oh no, one more. Sorry. I bought Team Sonic Racing, and I've been playing Team Sonic Racing. And I don't know what really to say on it. It is good and it is fun, but it's just disappointing that you can't get into a full online lobby. Like, I have not ever gone into a 12-person lobby in this game and had it fill up with humans. It's always like 3 or 4 people, and then the rest get filled with AI, which is super disappointing. So, Team Sonic Racing is good, but more people need to play it. That's it.
All right, I played Bird Gut. It's a free game on Steam. It's very indie. It is done like it's sort of a stick figure on white background sort of thing, and the humor is pretty good. You play a deformed bee, and you get eaten by I think a bird, and so your entire game is spent. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Sorry, I hit too many buttons. So anyway, Bird Gut. You play as a deformed bee, and you get eaten by a bird.
What happened?
Don't even worry about it.
All
And
right.
and so you go through this bird's stomach, and it's all about the journey through the stomach. And apparently, all the other bugs this bird has eaten are mind controlled and are powering the bird by like operating bird machinery or something. And I think your whole goal is to get out. I haven't beaten it yet. The writing is pretty witty, and like so far so good. It's free on Steam. This is a free game, Bird Gut. Go check it out.
I'm downloading it right now.
Yeah, it is not bad. Um, Again, this has to be a shorter podcast, so I'm going to try and rip through these a little bit. I also played Ghost Giant. I just beat the level where you, what it's not. It's like a chapter, I guess. I beat the one where you're an artist or whatever. You get the paintbrush and you have to paint the painting using various items around the environment.
The painting that you make is very good.
It's so good.
It is very good.
No spoilers, but it is good. Um, I also played a little bit of Ni no Kuni. I got a little bit farther. This was on the night where I did not play multiplayer games. I sat down and knocked out some of this. I went through a factory, and I'm trying to essentially a Ni no Kuni, or yeah, there's Ni no Kuni 2. Sorry. You are trying to go around each kingdom and grow this alliance with the goal that you will never have a war and people won't fight ever again. And so you go to each world or each kingdom and you try to solve their problems. And that's about where I am. I went through the factory. There's a country that is a factory, but it has so many people that it actually became a nation, which is an interesting concept. And I'm trying to think of any more before I move on. I played Don't Starve Together with Dan, or not with Dan yet, but with Ben and Pat and Joade, and that's been a lot of fun. And there's a free update, lots of good stuff there. But the last game I really want to talk about, actually, that's not true. Dauntless is out on PS4 and is free. So if you ever wanted to play a Monster Hunter game, but never wanted to get into like the very deep Monster Hunter mechanics, Dauntless might be for you. Kind of looks similarly to Fortnite artistically, and it's a simpler Monster Hunter as far as I can tell. And it's pretty cool, so maybe Steve, you want to play that? I don't know. Free.
Maybe
PS4.
Can we play it together?
Yeah.
Oh, then maybe.
There's a lot of games we got to play together, but I'm gonna move on to Beat Saber. I have been coming home from work and playing Beat Saber. I am very injured from playing Beat Saber. Not even so much sore. They added Expert Plus months ago. I don't remember when. And I went back, and in a previous podcast, I think we talked about our opinion of the song list from the Monster Cat label. Is that true?
Yep.
And my opinion is either the same or worse. There are a few songs I like, and everything else is just electric noise in my ears, in my opinion.
Have they added more songs? I think they added one that I haven't played yet, like a crab song.
Yeah, Crab Rave by Noise Storm. It's who
Yeah.
cares? It's a song in Beat Saber, which is nice, but Beat Saber is such a bittersweet game for me. Like, it is an amazing game, so good, but they don't add enough, fast enough. Like right now, if the game released with this many songs, I would have been ecstatic. I would have been super happy. I think this is the right amount of songs for a release. But now I'm waiting for the next set of songs, and I'm really hoping they're not all samey like the Monster Cat stuff. Um, anyway, I was playing Expert Plus, and I think the songs are maybe a little bit faster, or they have more notes, and they do a lot more like crossovers and weird things where they want you to move your arms really weirdly. And so, like, the jump from hard to expert is whatever. Like, you'll play a couple songs on hard and then you move to expert, and then you'll get good at expert. And then you try to go to expert plus, and you struggle. I feel like there should have been another difficulty in between. I probably already said this, where it's either they add more notes or they add more crossovers to like get you accustomed to it before you moved on to what it is now. I sent you a text, Steve, that said, I think you're a god for beating any song on Expert Plus, because it is, to me, it's really difficult. I don't care if you think it's not that hard or like, oh, you'll get good at it. It is frustratingly difficult and demoralizing to play so much and not get better at it, because like you'll reach a point in the song where it just is just like notes, and you can't, your brain just can't understand it, and you try to go practice it and it doesn't make you any better, because in the real song, like if you speed it back up to regular speed, it happens so fast that you can't even remember the things you did when you slowed it down.
Yeah, you do have to kind of build it into muscle memory. And sorry, when I sent you that, I wasn't trying to say like I wasn't trying to say
Oh
that
no, like
it's easy and
I
that
totally
you
understand.
should get it in a couple days. I more meant like I felt like there was a wall, and once I pushed through on a couple of the songs, I was able to do most of them on Expert Plus.
I
Also,
think that's what happened too. Keep going.
I, well, also there's obviously like I have a certain amount of just like intuition for rhythm games because I've spent so much of my life playing difficult rhythm games and like still do. So, um, like part of the desire, like the deep rooted thing in me that wants to be able to do good on the hardest songs in rhythm games probably pushes me to keep trying Expert Plus and not get frustrated in it in a way that other people might not have.
I have been also getting frustrated. It's more, like I said, demoralizing, because you try so hard and you get so far, and then you throw it all away. You it in like
Yeah.
one, like you miss a note and it destroys anything you had going on.
Yes, I will agree with you on a couple points. One, Beat Saber is the type of game where one mistake kind of just means you fail the song, because as soon as one arm is in the wrong spot, or as soon as you slash one block in the wrong direction, the entire flow is messed up, and it, you know, on Expert Plus it's going so fast that you don't really have time to adjust. So you kind of have to like play it mostly perfect. Sometimes you can kind of cheese it, but sometimes you can't. And then also, you're right that Expert Plus, especially on the crossovers, they ask you to do stuff that feels like they're asking you to do master level class on a skill that they haven't really taught you up to this point
Yeah.
in regular expert. Like you go from 0 to 100. Like, oh, there's an occasional crossover in an expert song here or there. You go from that to like, okay, here's a song that weaves in and out of crossovers nonstop, and it's 25% faster than the other chart and 3 times harder, and the cuts are less intuitive. So learn it, and it's a
Yeah.
little bit.
If you play Crab Rave on Expert Plus, they'll ask you to move your right arm up and left, your left arm down and right, and then also right after that, move your right arm up right and your like left arm up left. It's so, it wants you to do such weird things that it doesn't feel natural until you get it. Once you get it, it feels natural, but it could just be that you've done it so many times it feels natural.
Yeah, it's hard to say, but I definitely agree with you that the learning curve could be a lot better.
Yeah, it's, I really wish there was just one more difficulty in between that maybe did more crossovers or made it faster. Like you can jack up the speed, I guess, on expert, but it just really isn't the same. So,
No, it's not. You're not learning the same skills.
hmm it it really does want you to do more stuff. Um, and I texted you like, man, you're a god for doing this, and then like I don't know what it is about doing that and texting you like, oh, you're so good and I'm so bad, but then immediately like I beat a song on Expert Plus and did it better than you, and I'm like, well, maybe I might just be a god. I don't know. Um, but things,
You are a god. I also think when you sent me that, that was kind of the spirit of what I was saying. Is it's more attainable than you think. It just seems unattainable until you've attained it.
yeah, it has to absolutely click, and you have to just like you don't think about it. You just move your arms. You're just like, I have to do spins right now, and then I have to like slash up
Yes,
sometimes.
all of my Expert Plus passes are like they happened without me realizing they were happening. Like as they were happening, I was just like, "Oh my god, what's happening?" Oh, and then I get
Yeah,
to the end of the song, and I'm like, "Oh, thank you."
it is. It is very difficult, and I was so happy when I actually beat a song. And then I started playing other songs, and I just started doing better than I was before. I don't know if I just gained the skill that makes you better at Expert Plus, whatever it is. But I started getting much farther in songs, and I started having a much better time.
Good job, man. Keep playing. You got me wanting to go play again.
Yeah, but yesterday, I think it was yesterday when I was playing, I I was just swinging my arms, and I used to like when I was playing expert, I used to play like 3 or 4 hours like every day, and it was not difficult. But expert plus wants you to move so much that I am thrashed after like an hour and a half. It could just be that I'm out of shape again, uh, but it's so rough on my arms. My arms are so sore, and I felt like I maybe pulled something in my gut. So I was like, I'm stopping now. Like as soon as I felt that pain, I was like, "Yep, this isn't normal. I'm stopping." I feel much better, but um, it is much more physical than expert because of so many different arm motions and how fast it is.
Totally agree.
But I think that's it. Nick, do you have anything else?
I do. Um, so I kind of started playing Kerbal Space Program a little bit again, and to my delight, today they dropped a new expansion. So um, it'll have like more parts and for your rockets and stuff. And they added a bunch of stuff so that you can do more like science and experiments like out on other planets. Um, you can set up like science stations that will like generate, and science is like a currency. You can use it in career mode to unlock more parts. And so that's kind of how your progression works is you start out with like super basic parts and then you shoot a rocket and have your little guy like collect a report, and then that gets you science, and then you can spend it to get better rocket parts to get farther and get different like experiments from other places in the world. So um, I'm just excited to dink around in that game some more. It's fun to build and explore. So
I'm gonna be excited to hear more about that, like the actual expansion. Um, is E3 happening now or is it happening next week? I listened to a podcast and they were talking about how soon it was coming up, and it was like 2 weeks ago.
E3 happens in 2 weeks.
Okay, so pretty soon.
Pro- Probably, if we keep to our typical schedule, the next time we record will be right around the start of E3 announcements.
Oh, cool. Do you guys want to do like a predictions thing next time when we do our topic?
Yeah, that would be good to do like maybe a combo like predictions slash just what we would really like to see.
Yeah, anything like we're looking forward to or expecting or want, and then maybe we can do another podcast
Another
like a week ago.
podcast.
Yeah, like a week after the whole E3 happens, and then we can talk about what we thought, maybe.
Yeah, what we liked, what we're looking forward to. That'll be good. I like that.
Yeah. Sorry that there is no topic this week. We did have to catch up a lot. We missed a whole podcast, so we'll be doing it in a couple weeks. And I don't know how you guys feel about the assignment I gave out. I was thinking we all do our own personal review, like audio review of a game we have beaten, um, to add like more content for people to listen to. If you're sick of waiting so long in between podcasts, we'll have more for you if that's what you're into.
No, I'll be happy to do. Does it have to be a new game?
No, it can be, well, you should have beaten it recently to keep it fresh in your memory, but it doesn't have to actually be a new game.
Okay. I mean, like, can I do one for Ori? Because I would love to talk about Ori.
I will have to not listen to it because I haven't played it, and I don't want to hear too much about it. But yeah.
Well, I can put any story stuff. I can leave out any spoilers.
No, I'd like you to have the story in it. Maybe I'll play and beat Ori tonight. I don't know. Did we have any emails? Somebody want to check the email?
I don't know. Tell you what, though, if we do have any emails, we'll cover them on the next episode, just in the interest of time.
All right. So, you can email us at thebideopodcast@gmail.com. Thebideopodcast@gmail.com. Nick, what is that email address?
Thebideopodcast@gmail.com.
See, that's the rule of three, is if you say it 3 times, it's more in their memory so that they know to email us at thebideopodcast@gmail.com with any suggestions, complaints, comments, statements, questions, any sort of thing like that. But
questions, comments, suggestions relevant to the topic of conversation?
Yeah, something like what you just said. But I think that's going to be it for us. I gotta go. I got busy stuff to do today. But I will see you guys in 2 weeks. Goodbye.
See ya. Thanks for the catch-up cast. Bye.
Bye.